like selfie positions like that, happening. And well, you just come from? You have cameras all the time, obviously.
Well, this is for National Geographic.
Nice one. I can sit here,
yeah.
So we can start by talking like the space station. They have Wi-Fi, and it's happening. Like they keep tweeting. How far do you need to go from Earth to lose internet, two-way speed internet? Would you say?
I don't know, but I do know that it's a common thing to communicate with people in space. This isn't, you want to be able to do that at all times. They wouldn't call it Wi-Fi though. You'd have a signal, and it would be by radio waves or microwaves back to some receivers on Earth that would then be communicated to who wants to receive the information. So it's not so. If you get signals from the space station, I'm pretty sure it's not sending it by Wi-Fi signals, even though it is showing up on your Wi-Fi device.
I mean, in the station they have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And then how far would you need to go? Like, if I live in Tau Cetai, or Bernard Star, I want to send a tweet to Earth.
Yeah, so you would need to bring out a radio telescope and reverse the direction that a signal would happen. Normally, telescopes receive information. Now you would beam a signal back out, aim it for where you need it to go, and hope that someone has another receiver on the other side. They receive the signal, and then they turn it into a tweet. They post it on Twitter.
And it would take ages for it to post. There's not going to be like chat.
No, you would know exactly how, depending on how many light years away the planet or galaxy is. Then, if it's 10 light years away, then it takes light 10 years to reach. Now, that's not the witty repartee that people like to pursue on Twitter. Twitter is a little more instant than having a 10-year delay on the signal that you post.
And do you see a future for social media in space? Like, can you see many usages of social media? Like, aliens would not be able to tweet, obviously, to communicate with us.
Well, if they know how to get into our system, if they're really smart, there's nothing we can prevent them from doing. So, because they will figure out everything that we took our lifetimes to create. They would, if they're really smart, there's no reason why they wouldn't figure it out immediately. So, social media, I haven't thought about what role and value social media in space would have. Social media is all about communicating and growing webs of people who know one another. And there's nothing that could have stopped NASA from having a chat with the astronaut hour, you know, and then you would send a message to NASA and they'd beam it up or back, or Twitter makes that a little more efficient. So does Facebook, I suppose. But all you have to do when you're in space is tap into that network, and then you're on the network. So it's not how far away can you still receive the signal. No, they have special transmitters on these spacecraft that send signals very specifically. It's just not just, oh, you came out of range, you're in a dead zone. No, it's way more than that.
And okay, another question. I got these space socks.
Very nice socks.
Where do you get all of your attire?
I have ties and vests, and I get them where I'm always looking. So if I find
Comic-Con.
They sell them some there, but Comic-Con ones tend to be a little too. You know, I have an aesthetic threshold for my clothing, for what patterns and designs are on it. So I would not wear a tie that has Captain Kirk's face on it. I just wouldn't do that.
Imagine if you go to space, like on the Lynx spacecraft or X-Core, with your space attire. That would be like.
Well, so I would pick and choose. I have about 100 ties and about a half dozen vests. And I'm not wearing one now. So I apologize. Excuse me. So.
I have the price list of the Lynx X-Core. So 96,000 would be 100,000 would be like one of the cheapest. They have 96,000 as well, and it's like this is like what it does. Just a quick.
Up above to the top of the atmosphere. Sure. So it's a tourist jaunt.
Because after Virgin Galactic kind of collapsed. Because like the audacity of calling it galactic, no one in the galaxy cares about Virgin.
It's a bit of exaggeration. It's really Virgin Earth rather than Virgin Atlantic or Virgin
Because it doesn't
America.
even leave the magnetosphere, the
well,
heliosphere.
What matters, there's an operational definition of what is called the edge of space, and it's where the atmosphere is thin enough so that even in broad daylight, there is no atmospheric glow between you and the rest of the universe, and you can see stars at the same time the sun is in the sky. The reason why we can't see stars on Earth is because sunlight gets scattered in the air so that the air is aglow, preventing you from seeing stars. You go where the air is so thin it doesn't glow, then you can see space. So that's an operational definition for what space is. But if you took a schoolroom globe and said, well, how high up above the globe is that? That would be about a little more than a 1/16 of an inch above a globe. So in metric, 1 or 2 millimeters maybe above the surface of the globe. We're calling that space. But I, as an astrophysicist, you can't get an astrophysicist to call that space. That's just sitting right on our nose here.
And it's even like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And it goes
because
down.
it's an arc that you're executing. And so it's a few minute experience, but you'd be weightless. You'd get to see the dark.
But you would never pay yourself like $100,000. Or you expect?
No, I would pay to go into space if you're going to send me somewhere. I don't want to. I joke about this, that today we're boldly going where hundreds have gone before into low Earth orbit.
I know, it's so passé. They've done it in the 50s.
So
Laika has been there.
And I don't mind doing it, but don't claim that that's some frontier. It's no longer a frontier. I'm perfectly happy to have as many tourist excursions as people want to pay, as what the demand supply can provide. But if I'm going to pay money to go in space, it's because you're going to send me to a destination, to a comet, to an asteroid, to the moon, to Mars. Then I'm good to go.
And like personally,
and I don't want to be the first. I'm not that brave.
First 100, or
I don't know. I have to see the numbers on it.
Is it depressing, like speaking about space your entire life, and probably you will never go?
But I do go. Sorry, I have a gumdrop in my mouth. I do go every time I point my telescope upwards. I'm transported into space. The astrophysicist derives great satisfaction from this access to the rest of the universe without physically going there.
It's romantic to go to a telescope.
In the old days, you would have a pilgrimage. There'd be a pilgrimage. You trains, planes, and automobiles, and you would ascend the mountain. You would invert your schedule to live nocturnally, and there'd just be you, the telescope, and the universe. And that had a certain romance to it. And
your girlfriend.
And, well, generally you don't bring people who do not have direct need to be there, generally.
You need to date a scientist.
that perhaps. But then you would both presumably be interested in the same research project. And generally you can't justify sending a bunch of people to do the one observation that today is done by a technician. It's called surface observing. I say, here's my coordinate, here are the exposures, here's the direction in the sky. Do it. And then they control the telescope and send you back the data. I'm old enough to remember where you actually had to carry the data back from you. You had to carry the data back with yourself from the mountaintop before there was any kind of network of information transfer. And now the bandwidth is wide enough so that you can just send all the data and it shows up on your desktop computer.
What's the biggest one now in Peru? Telescope, the big European.
Well,
telescope?
It depends on what wavelength of light you are referencing. So right now, one of the most powerful telescopes is called ALMA, the Atacama Large Array, Atacama Large Millimeter Array Telescope, ALMA. It is it specializes in the millimeter part of the spectrum of light, which is a longer wavelength than visible light. And millimeter, you can see deep into galaxies. You can see where stars are being born. You can see the molecules of space, and so it's a potent telescope in a particularly attractive window on the universe, and that's probably one of the most powerful telescopes out there.
Talk about drones. So I own this drone, like a basic one, the Phantom 2.
You own a basic drone.
This one.
Okay.
4 propellers. You can see what he's seeing, and I keep wondering.
So what do you do with your drone?
So actually, like original stuff, like if you fancy someone in the park, you can send her a note on the drone.
Okay.
If you want
That's because you're too shy to walk up to the person?
Yeah. It's
okay.
more,
That'd be a really nerdy way to get to know someone.
I know, and the wind, you can barely catch the note because the wind from the propellers is so high. Also use the drone to watch Netflix for my neighbor's house. Just fly it in the window.
Okay.
Basic.
But I bet the drone cost you more than $8 a month to maintain.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It's £1,000.
Yes, there you go. So that's a lot of months of Netflix.
Yeah. And you cannot hear the Netflix because you can only hear the buzz. Of the drone.
You can only see the Netflix, yes.
Yeah. So what if I take it to space? Like some planets, even the solar system, they have atmosphere. Titan has an atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
Can I fly my drone?
Oh, sure. Oh, by all means.
So I don't need and I can actually. Well, how come NASA doesn't use drones?
Drones for what?
Like in the Mars rover. Why can it not
Well,
fly
there's
up?
talk of making some kind of an airfoil that would be able to maneuver and explore.
Yeah.
But so the challenge of a self-propelled drone such as what you're describing is, I bet your drone doesn't weigh very much, does it?
No. I mean, it's heavier than other drones. It did cost like 1.5 thousand British pounds. Yeah. I mean.
Okay. So when you go to a place, you want to do experiments, and your experiments are, your spacecraft is clad with experiments.
Yeah.
This experiment does one thing, this one does another, and they're bolted on to the spacecraft. So the spacecraft has a certain weight to it. And what we found is that and you need an energy source to do this. What is driving those propellers?
The batteries.
The batteries, and the batteries will run out, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want this to last for a significant length of time so I can do science.
Yeah.
So what, at the moment, our capabilities is we can send something heavy to Mars. The Curiosity rover is the size of an SUV.
Yeah.
We don't have to keep it airborne because it's a rover. So we can drive it places.
Yeah.
And the energy to drive from one place to another is far less than the energy to fly from one place to another.
Yeah.
So, particularly with a device that has to have downward thrust to stay airborne. Now, suppose, there's some interesting dust over there. I want to study it.
Yeah, from above.
From above. So now you go over it, and then the propeller plates blow all the dust away.
Yeah.
Now you can't see the dust. You ruin
the experiment. Yeah.
You ruin the experiment, for example.
What if there's a sinkhole? I wanted to use this one actually in Siberia. They discovered this big sinkhole. To fly down with lighting to see what's in the bottom.
Sure. I mean, I'm not saying this doesn't have uses, but now
in Mars it's
the exploration of the solar system in the few places that have a planet. Plus, the Mars atmosphere is much thinner than here on Earth, so you would need bigger propeller blades, or they'd have to spin faster in order to stay afloat.
Yeah. Okay. Something about the European Space Agency. Would you say there's jealousy now in the U.S.?
I don't know that anyone would admit it, but there's got to be some.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be? We spent so many years leading the world in just these kinds of experiments, and now NASA is a participant in the comet landing, but we didn't lead it. NASA didn't lead it.
One of the NASA guys came to the European ceremony.
Yes, to represent. Yes.
And then he said something about how we need to occupy, how the solar system is ours. Sounded like a land grab. Talk about Israel-Palestine a bit. Yeah, I mean, it sounded like a land grab. Take it, bring it back. It's ours.
So yeah, what's curious is what is the future of people landing on all of these many objects? And
owning them.
Yeah, and owning them. I don't know that that's fully resolved. Is it a kind of homesteading activity where if you spend the money to arrive there, then it's yours, and then you get to pitch tent. And build a campfire.
And lasso.
That's not resolved. Yeah. So it's an interesting frontier. I would hope that space would be free of the petty arguing that's going on among countries for land on Earth. But intermittently, I lose that confidence in humanity, thinking that we'll all be land grabbing in space and fighting over it,
or maybe someone in the galaxy already bought Earth.
and maybe we're just a zoo for their science project.
No one asked the insects in America what they thought when someone just bought the entire continent, or got Columbus.
Yeah, exactly. There's the unexpected consequences.
Yeah. And there's a question: how much Earth? What is the value of Earth if you look at the galaxy in economic terms?
Well, I think it's a hard question, even philosophically, because Value is what would someone pay for it. That's the only way you get a value of anything in any free economic system. So if you value Earth and they say it's worth this much, well, who is going to pay that? I guess the aliens might. But then they'd have to give us money in exchange for all of that value.
Give us something back.
Well, because that's how you judge the value. I own a book, it has value, that'll go into that tally. Now the alien wants to buy Earth, well, they got to buy my book for them to own it. They got to buy my house. That's how you're coming up with the value in the first place. So it would, if anyone assesses the value of Earth,
makes an offer.
I would wonder whether they've made contact with aliens who made the offer to do so.
Marxist aliens, of course.
Well, if you own everything, then it's not, you've lost your capitalist system. I mean, the free enterprise. If one person owns everything, the state owns it, and then there's no trade.
Okay, one last thing about Interstellar.
The film.
Or like The Voyage.
Okay.
So Phil Tate in Slate had like you know him? I think it's Phil Tate. He's like a scientist writing for Slate.
Oh, no. You're talking about Phil Plait.
Plait.
Yes, he's a friend and colleague. Yes.
Yeah, he had the exact opposite view to yours about Interstellar. He said the science is awful. Like in the end, they go to to a planet circling a black hole, and it has light somehow, the planet. So, and you kept praising the film scientifically. Well,
praise is not the right word. I made observations that I shared with people. People then interpreted that as praise. So I have a apparently not so obvious reference frame that I use when I comment on films. Because people always are saying things that was not my intent when I post the comments, in this case on Twitter. So if I can, for this purpose, highlight that distinction. I'm a fan of Mark Twain's, one of Mark Twain's edicts, which is it an edict when someone has a smart, short thing to say?
Not sure. Edictified?
It's, one of them is, first get your facts straight, then distort them at your leisure.
Like then add science fiction to the science.
Yes, and I'm perfectly happy with that. I will not criticize a film for getting basic science right if they then take it to exotic and interesting places according to the creativity of the producers or the visual artists. In Interstellar, I would question why the best candidate for an Earth-like planet is in orbit around a black hole. I would think that would be a little weird.
So many stars.
But there's so many stars, and black holes are rare. But if they had the planet around a regular star, then you wouldn't have the drama of the time dilation and all the rest of that they wanted to portray in the plot. The time dilation, they're using what is real. We know time dilates in the presence of a high source of gravity. So what a luxury it is to complain that the time dilation was too much, or that the the planet had a black hole and there shouldn't be light. Well, maybe there's some other stars in the area. I wasn't gonna lose sleep over that. The tidal wave. I was skeptical at first, but if you're in a deep gravitational well where there's a high source of gravity, it would raise very high tides. And those tides are kind of spiky. Normally tidal bulges are smoother than that, but at least they portrayed a tidal wave. And then they distort it so that it's a little more dramatic, where their lives are at risk, rather than a duck just rising up and down as a wave goes under it. This one was going to crash down on top of them. So so maybe I differ with Phil Plait in that he wanted the science to go through all the way to the last little bit.
Phil Plato.
And so I don't have a problem with him feeling that way at all. But at some point, they want to have an interestingly dramatic story, and they started in a place with a wormhole, with the distortion of space-time. They go into a tesseract where they have access to multiple dimensions. And I'm allowing, personally, the creative artists to do with it what they will. I distinguish that attitude that I had from my comments regarding the film Titanic, where I criticized the sky over the sinking Titanic. We know, for James Cameron's film, we know what that sky should be. We have the longitude, the latitude, the day, the year, the evening conditions. We know what that should have been. he had the wrong sky. Now, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it had just been a different part of the sky that's more interesting
Yeah.
than the correct part of the sky, I would not have complained.
Yeah, you just put the boring part.
No. It wasn't even that.
Yeah.
The left side of the sky was a mirror reflection of the right side of the sky. It was not only wrong, it was lazy.
Yeah.
That's what I had an issue with.
But they go for the easy choice.
That's what I had. If
Yeah.
it was just a different part of the night sky that had something more interesting going on in it, I'm okay with it. That's why people think I'm just the buzzkill of science, and so I've gotten stereotyped from some of these comments. But I don't. My comments come from a more nuanced place of thought when I see a film.
Yeah.
I don't criticize the science of Star Wars because it has no science in it. Yeah. So I just sit back and enjoy it. I don't vocally criticize a movie, the science in a movie, while I have people next to me. I sit back and
I thought you tweeted from the cinema.
I sit back and I enjoy the film. Right? I have a good enough memory of what I see. I can wait until the end of the film to tweet. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one. Okay, pretty much it. What do you think we need to ask something else? Yeah, got it. What's happening today? What's your next?
Oh, today. Well, today is I've had a very long, busy weekend. It's Friday, so I'm just sort of closing out the week.
Yeah.
And my daughter's coming in for the weekend from college, so I haven't seen her in a while, and so that should be
brilliant. Yeah.
Fun. So, what brings you to town?
We're just meeting a few Thinkfluencers.
Thinkfluencers.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So you have fun projects, fun crazy projects coming up?
Yeah. I've done.
I guess you like lobster. I guess is that right?
Yeah. She said the world is my lobster.
Yeah. So you know what's interesting?
Mm-hmm.
I tweeted this.
Yeah.
Only cooked lobsters are red.
Oh, really?
Live lobsters are deep purple.
Yeah, you never.
Dark.
Why do we imagine all of them red?
We imagine all of them. Yeah, it's just false. Yeah. That's just false.
Yeah.
Same with crabs, and they're not red. They're dark purple. I mean, they're almost like this color. This is kind of greenish.
Yeah.
They're like this color, and then they turn red after you boil them. So they wouldn't be alive and with open eyes and things on your.
Yeah.
I tweeted that. So.
Good one. How about exchanging Twitter passwords for a week, me and you? I have 20,000 followers. I'm verified. You have 2.5 million. It could be a nice experiment. Me or any other kid in the planetarium. Give him your Twitter password. Let's see what happens.
So here's the thing. My tweets are very carefully worded for their accuracy, for their rhythm, for their length. I don't tweet 140 characters. I tweet 125 characters.
Always?
Always. Or less. 125 or less. But usually it lands right at 125. And
do you schedule them in advance?
Sometimes. If I know I'm busy, but I have some, I'll pre-schedule some.
Yeah.
I don't like pre-scheduling because...
But the universe is expectable. I mean, you know what's going to happen.
No, but except things not... The rest of the universe, but not in life. And so... it can be disrespectful if some tragedy happens.
To the universe.
On Earth. To people, to governments, places, things. And I have some tweets lined up that go out while that's going on. There's some expectation that I'm reacting to a current event. So I only do it if I really am not able to because I'm going to be away from the internet and there's something I'll have to get out.
Last person you unfollowed?
The last person I unfollowed... Well, it turns out on TweetDeck, you can follow people without following them. I create columns of lists. And so I found that the more people I follow, the less I can track what they say, because then it becomes noise at some point. So I follow like 50 entities, people and entities.
Entities in the galaxy.
So
you can mute people now, not to offend them.
So now I do know what people tweet, even if I'm not an explicit follower of theirs, because now I can... actually follow them more efficiently by not following them. It doesn't completely clutter my... Yeah.
Like an ex-girlfriend, you just go on her Twitter timeline, even if you're not following her because it's public.
Is that right? Yeah, I guess that's true.
Public,
It would be public. Yeah, it's all public. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not an unfollower.
Wikipedia, do you edit your page sometimes?
I didn't create my page. I was flattered to discover that a wiki page had been created for me. This is now 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, by extraterrestrials, of course. Editing it.
And it was about 90% accurate.
Yeah.
another 5% misleading but sort of accurate, and 5% just false. So I said, well, I can't keep chasing this page. So it was because of that I created my own Facebook page with basic information that if a journalist... So somebody wrote that I was 6'4". I'm not 6'4".
Yeah,
but that got propagated. Yeah. And it said it in the wiki page, 6'4", because this newspaper said I was 6'4". But just because the newspaper said I was 6'4", doesn't make the newspaper correct. Now it appears in a wiki page. So I said, I don't have time or patience for this on a wiki page. I will put all the correct information on my homepage. I'm 6'2", not 6'4".
Yeah.
In fact, I was once 6'2". Who knows what I'm surely some fraction of an inch smaller than that now in my, as you get hunched over in old age.
And sometimes you correct them and they undo your correction, even though you corrected to the actual.
Well, that's why I don't really care anymore. I can't. It's too much energy and effort. I can sustain what is true and what is accurate in my Facebook page, and anyone who knows and cares can just go there for it.
I did a video changing celebs Wikipedia where I go to Kanye West and I tell him I created some representations and I would like to fix it for you, Kanye, for a fee. And he's like, yeah, we need you. We need to, just to show how celebrities are like into their Wikipedias, and they keep wanting to hire people.
Oh, so I don't, that's an interesting experiment. I don't, I don't know if it's quite a free-for-all out there, but there's enough of me that is public that you don't have to rely on the wiki page for that information. I think the wiki page's greatest value to a surfer is to get information about someone who you knew not much about and you didn't have much other access to that. But I have my entire resume and CV is online. I saw some people saying, oh, Tyson's never taught a class in his life, criticizing something I said about teachers. I said, anytime a teacher says, these students just don't want to learn, it's odd that they don't instead say, I suck at my job. Okay? So some teachers got upset by that. Well, how could he say that? He's probably never taught. No, go to my LinkedIn. Go to my homepage, and there is my entire track record of all the classes I've taught. Thousands of students over the years in community college, in college, in university. So if you want to know sources of information, it's there. So I don't need to track that. And if you get wrong information, there's a fan out there who knows the right information and corrects you in your comment blog. So I can't. I'd rather just be a scientist and educator than track all of this.
One last thing I just remembered. You said 8% of the elite scientists.
7%.
7% believe in God, personal God.
Oh no, sorry. 7%, correct. Will pray to have a powerful, unseen deity intercede in their lives. It's about 7%
and that's
of elite scientists.
This is the bizarre thing.
I thought so. I thought
anything we can do to fight this, like convert them.
No, I don't have an interest to fight.
I mean,
it just is. I say it's odd, not because I want to fight it, but because it's just odd. If training people to be scientifically literate makes them less religious, and you have noted atheists out there telling people how their irrational ways or will be the end of all civilization. But if you have fellow scientists who feel the same way as these other people who you've beaten over the head, why aren't you starting with your fellow scientists? They should be the highest priority. And if they're not, then what are you doing? And I think it's kind of interesting that the most elite scientists, that number doesn't go to 0. It kind of asymptotes at 7%. I find that an interesting curiosity. I have no interest in changing them.
Like what, are they Jewish?
That would not be a free country. I value the fact that I live in a free country. I will not require that anybody believes anything at all. I don't know what. That's a different place. Then we have thought police.
And did you speak to them, like those 7%? Like, what are they, Jewish? Like the top scientists?
Oh, I don't know who they are individually. It's a statistic. So
they don't come out with it.
Maybe, but it's a statistic, so I haven't. But it would make an interesting conversation. Sure.
I would love to meet each
other. One I've met, and he said he's religious, but and I said, what do you do when you enter your lab? He said he leaves the Bible out on the counter. And
Like
he
physically,
goes into,
he has a thing for the Bible.
No, he's got it at home, of course. But he's saying that figuratively, he leaves his Bible outside his lab door, and when he's a scientist, he's a scientist. So he has a divide within himself that sustains this. And so that's at least one way.
He has a special bookmark in the Bible. It says science.
No, because he doesn't get his science out of the Bible. No, that's a different. That's a different community of people in the world. These would be the fundamentalists who are sure that mysteries of the universe can be addressed by what you glean from religious writings. That's a subset of people out there.
Okay,
there's a great picture here.
I love your umbrella, by the way.
What's that?
I love your umbrella.
Oh, which one? The
carrot one.
Yeah. Do you know what umbrella that is?
No.
You don't.
No.
Oh. It is the actual. I mean, not that one is not the actual, but it's the same model umbrella that was used by Mary Poppins on Broadway.
Oh.
So feel it.
So she danced with
real.
it?
Actually, the beak broke. There's a little piece of the beak. The beak curls on it, but you feel it has real weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the balance point is back here. So this is how she.
Oh yeah.
Feel that balance point. It's very high up there.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah.
So this cost real money. I mean, it was the actual one that she used on stage.
Yeah.
When Mary Poppins was on Broadway.
The center of mass.
Yeah, it's right here. Yes, that's the way to say that.
Oh yeah.
So.
Nice.
So I have to get. I'm a fan of Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Just as a story. So.
Brilliant.